Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest edition of the Woke Bros. Of course, I'm your co-host, Big Wos. And for time-saving purposes, man, my guy Nando Vila is in the car
From podcasting
driving.
while driving, yeah, podcasting while driving. I'm like a right wing YouTuber, you know. Uh,
Totally illegal. I mean, totally legal, excuse me. Totally kosher. We have no problem with
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Anyway, my hat is crooked. I don't know if the hat is crooked or the camera is,
Your
but
face is
whatever.
crooked.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Um Today wanted to get into some soccer stuff with Ronaldo and the Saudis that I think is hilarious and just weird. We're just in a weird place with sports these days. Definitely want to talk about the Brazilian fake insurrection that happened. The kind of people who were like waving pom poms about it out here, I think is interesting. And just as an event, I find it interesting. But last week we talked about Kevin McCarthy being publicly embarrassed and flogged by his colleagues in the Republican sector of the House of Representatives. On the 15th vote, Nando, six of these Freedom Caucus cats just voted present so that he could reach the threshold. Even when they gave up, it was still like not voting for you type shit,
Yeah,
which I just thought
yeah.
was the ultimate exercise in unnecessary pettiness. But yeah, Kevin McCarthy gets to be the Speaker of the House. I feel like he's one of the weakest speakers of the House we've ever seen in our lives.
Oh yeah,
Not just by the nature of the vote, but like these fools made him put in stipulations that was like, yo, if one guy doesn't like you, they get to hold it to a vote
yeah.
to kick you out. It's like it's crazy the amount of sacrifices he's made. I wonder what they'll even be able to do, even though they don't have the Senate. Obviously, Biden is the president, but like, what can they even do with this weak ass majority?
I mean, I guess like since they control the committees and shit, they can like launch these like little investigations. Like
Mm-hmm.
they have the ability to like launch investigations, yeah, into like Hunter Biden or like
It's too
this
bad
latest
Trey
thing.
Gowdy retired, man, because
Yeah,
he love a bullshit committee, boy.
yeah. By the way, I just remembered we were together when McCarthy finally got it. We were out to dinner.
Oh
We were pretty
yes,
drunk. Yeah,
yes.
yeah. And then all of a sudden we got a little alert. It's like, oh, we just poured one out for speaker
It was
for our new
Speaker
speaker.
McCarthy. Oh my
But yeah,
goodness,
I
man.
mean, it's yeah, it's he's a remarkably weak speaker. He won't be able to. He won't even be able to do like bad stuff as effectively as another as like say someone like John Boehner did or whatever when he was speaker. It's just that it's because because there's such a thin margin and because there's these fucking psychos in the Freedom Caucus. It reminds me a little bit of when Obama and Boehner did the grand bargain, which would have been
Mhm.
fucking terrible. You know what I mean? Like it would have been the worst. Like it would have immediately made Obama like one of the worst presidents in the history of
Mhm.
America. You know what I mean? And this is something that he wanted to do.
Mhm.
It was this grand bargain to basically cut Social Security
All
and
kinds of austerity.
all kinds of austerity that would have been just absolutely disastrous. That was defeated not by the left or liberals or anything like that. It was defeated by the Tea Party, who didn't think it was austere enough, and they fucking tore it down. And so similar dynamic will happen. Like in a normal world, say the Republicans had the majority. This happens every time there's a Democratic president with the
Mhm.
Republican majority because like
They love
it's
cutting deals with the Republicans. They
they
just
love to
love
cut
it.
deals. They love it. They love it, folks. They fucking
Because
love
they
it.
get to do what they want to do anyway, ultimately, which is all of this austere bullshit. And then they get to say, look, folks, look how bipartisan I am.
Yeah,
I'm so fucking bipartisan. I'm
yeah,
reaching across the aisles. I'm cutting deals. I'm
yeah,
so pragmatic. I'm such a great politician. They love that
yeah.
shit.
So there was the grand bargain, Boehner and Obama, but then like less known, but equally, if not more consequential, was in the last year of Bill Clinton's presidency, he cut a deal with the Republicans to privatize Social Security. to turn Social Security, the one fucking decent thing our government like does, uh, that when you're old you get a fucking check,
Yep.
no questions asked,
Hmm. The one nice thing. Yep.
the one kind of nice thing that they wanted to privatize it, which would have been just like an
Disaster.
absolute disaster. Um, that was derailed because of the Monica Lewinsky thing. So like Monica
Wow.
Lewinsky saved Social Security. The Tea Party saved us from the grand bargain. And now Matt Gaetz and these Freedom Caucus
They're
psychos
gonna
are
save
probably
us
going to
from
save us from
Biden's
because
stupidity.
Biden would he would want to cut a deal with
Yeah.
McCarthy about something awful, you
Yep.
know.
Easily.
Um, but now because any deal with Biden means it's like a Satanist, uh, child pedophilic,
Of course, a lot of grooming, a
whatever.
lot of
Yeah,
devil worship, a lot of
yeah,
evilness emanating from Joe Biden's essence, and so obviously they couldn't cut a deal with him. And the other thing that I find interesting too is now we do the stupid thing where we fund the entire government in one fell swoop, right? Like
yeah,
they sign a 1.5 or 1.6. I think this year was like 1.7 trillion dollars at the buzzer to fund the government, right?
yeah,
And part of me is just like, wow, what a stupid thing to do. Like we used to fund things like 3, 4, 5 years out, and now we just do this stupid thing every year. And I'm like, man, this shit is so dangerous. It's like one crazy
yeah,
Republican session to blow it up. But then I'm just like, but the military's money is tied in and their money just never gets fucked with. you
no,
know, like nothing gets in the way of the military budget. Like there will be Democrats and all these other people, a bunch of Republicans coming out of woodworks to be like, no, we're not going to let the Freedom Caucus cost the military budget. That is indispensable. Raytheon welfare and all of these Boeing welfare has to go on. We're not going to do that. And so, like, I really wonder if they'll even be able to get some of their pet horses, the crazy shit that they love off the ground. Who knows, man? Maybe
yeah,
some of this was just a show of force and to just warn this guy, and then they'll just go with whatever kooky Republican shit they want to do, and not get past. But I really wonder what they'll even be able to accomplish because this majority is so
yeah.
fucking weak.
Yeah, this is like also the kind of thing that like we'll forget about in 6 months, and like we
Yeah.
probably will barely remember it. Like 2 years from now, like oh yeah, I remember that Kevin McCarthy. Like, we'd be like because it was about nothing, really.
Yeah, and we need to
But
stress that
yeah,
this wasn't a fight about yo Kevin McCarthy. You need to put Social Security cuts on the House floor. You need to put some kind of crazy right wing ideological battle policy wise. Like you need to get that up there because we really believe in this stuff, and this is what the Republican Party's agenda should be like. You need to really get serious about our policy agenda. There's nothing like Gates and Bobert and all of these people that did the Sunday shows and made their rounds. They had nothing about any of that stuff. This was just straight up like we think he's an annoying kind of Republican and we wish he wasn't the speaker.
yeah. No, I mean it's and let's be clear. Kevin McCarthy is like incredibly evil and one of the most evil people in the universe.
Right.
So just to see him as humiliated as he was is worth celebrating. So this whole thing was probably a net positive. Also, Jason Whitlock enjoyed it because Jason Whitlock was a fan of the Freedom Caucus. So I'm like, these are 20 patriots, you know. And we love Jason over here. He's a friend of the pod.
He's the greatest. He's the best.
Yeah,
He's one of the best that's ever done it. And so yeah, I'm happy we could tie a bow on that. Yeah, which brings us to Brazil, man. Speaking of, you know, just angry,
yeah,
absurd people, um, alleged people who are allegedly tied to former president Bolsonaro in Brazil, quote unquote, stormed the Capitol like a January 6th insurrection. Like January 6th, mostly people took selfies. And, the difference between January 6th is and this Brazilian shit is that Lula was just like, look, we're not gonna fuck around with these people. Like, I
Yeah,
will get the military to do
yeah,
awful things to these people if it
yeah,
comes down to it. I cut a deal with the people who matter in this country, and I have the support, obviously, of my own base. And so, yeah. These people aren't gonna do anything, but I wanted to get your thoughts on people like Steve Bannon and others sort of celebrating this because, yo, as crazy and not crazy, as annoying and as ghoulish as Bannon is, he always kind of has his eye on the ball. And
yeah,
his ability to be like, our right wing populist movement has a global glint to it and has global solidarity. I think is quite savvy on his part. I think that's something
yeah.
on the left that we try to do up here when, there's a quote unquote pink wave in South America or anything in left politics that is happening in a positive manner. We try to be like, yo, we should feel connected to these movements, these grassroots sort of popular movements that are left in nature. But broadly speaking, like general libs and progressives in America don't really give a fuck. I think Bannon is good at, oh, look at what's happening in Poland. Look at what's happening with Orban. Look at what's happening here. Like,
Yeah.
yo, the right wing is ascendant. Like, he's really good at finding any and all wins to celebrate. And I thought it was interesting that people like him were pointing to what's happening in Brazil and saying, oh, this is connected to what we're doing here in America.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that it's undeniable that there is a kind of new version of right wing populism. Again, and it's not, I think like, this is something that Danny Bessner, a friend of the pod, always is arguing with people on Twitter about fascism in the way fascism is traditionally understood. It's not like these aren't the brown shirts in Germany and Italy and Spain. It's a totally different type of movement. It's a different class base. It's a different context. There is a much weaker left, much very crucially. Um, so this isn't like fascism in the traditional sense. It does feel like a new kind of right wing populism that is largely driven by angry middle class people. I mean, that's basically what is. It's like it's not the rich, not the super rich. Like when people try to make like January 6th, like the class analysis of January 6th, like, oh, some people flew in on private plane. Like, there's always fucking crazy rich people. Yes, obviously. But the base of something like that was really
It's
kind of
middle
these
class
angry
folks, man.
middle class folks. Yeah. I mean, did you see the
Like,
picture
because
of the?
people who live like the rural sort of uneducated, whatever, poor whites who are liking the Republicans more and more these days,
They're out.
they not trekking to no damn DC for no damn insurrection. Come
Yeah.
on, man. Give me
Yeah.
a break, bro.
And
It's people
and
that could
ditto like
take off
the
work.
and ditto like the chairman of Goldman Sachs is not fucking doing that shit. You
No,
know what I
no
mean?
shot. No shot.
Like so yeah, this is middle class people. And did you see the picture of the guy in Brazil who dressed up like the QAnon shaman?
Yes,
Uh,
yes. It's cosplay. It's
it's
all it's
cosplay.
all like it's all literally Comic Con for bored middle class right wingers. Like literally they're dressing up as their favorite right wingers. Like that's
Yeah, yeah,
hilarious.
yeah, it's amazing. Like that the QAnon shaman is like their hero. And this doesn't mean that the right wing, like, first of all, it must be said, the right wing populist movement, the global right wing populist movement, of which someone like Steve Bannon is talking about, like, whether it's coherent or not, like, I think the
It's
jury's still out.
yeah.
What is clear to me, it's incredibly stupid. Like it's like the fucking stupidest shit in the world. but but that doesn't mean that it can't be dangerous, right?
Yeah,
And that
for sure.
it can't be harnessed by, like, in a moment of crisis, that it can't be harnessed by like some awful people, and that like people like Viktor Orban, which are, like, again, I don't want to like discount like the plight of Hungary or Hungarians, but is the kind of periphery of global capitalism. It's not like in the fucking belly of the beast. But you're starting to see people like that take power in Italy and things like that. So it's not completely worth discounting at all. Um, but it was interesting to see Lula's reaction to it vis-a-vis someone like Biden or the American kind of liberal establishment, which is like Lula went hard right away. You know what I mean? And they're going to investigate. And if there's anyone powerful,
Yeah.
like rest assured, they will
Oh yeah, they're gonna
certainly
get
tend to
in trouble.
prosecute. Yeah,
They're gonna get in trouble.
in the United States, like they like let everyone. It was obvious at the moment that it was going to be incredibly stupid and not worth thinking about ever again because they were going to let any powerful actor, off the hook and just prosecute like a handful of fucking middle class dumbasses like the QAnon shaman and that's it. You
And
know?
you know what it reminds me of too, and I think certain people on the dirtbag left have pointed this out. It's like you can never discount the actual government, and not by the government, I don't mean Mitch McConnell. I'm talking about the feds and their ilk to gin up this kind of shit, right? If people have read up on the like countless terrorists that the FBI invented out of whole cloth,
Yeah,
got these people angry, went out and got them bombs and guns and
yeah,
crazy shit,
and then
handed it to
arrested
them,
them.
and then arrested them. Like it had a tinge and a whiff of some of that ridiculous FBI and federal government stuff as far as the police are concerned. So it had that whiff. And like you said, like people who actually matter, who were playing footsie with these folks, um, at the best and outright like straight up just help plan it, help stoke it, help do all of that at the very
Yeah,
worst. Like these folks got off scot-free. And Joe Biden, I mean, and the Democrats, like they had no interest in actually going to the mattresses behind this. They like it more as just a rhetorical trick, like as a
yeah.
rhetorical, oh my God, when the democracy was in danger. It's
Well,
just like,
that and
oh
they just
my
passed they
God,
passed
shut
laws to
up.
strengthen. They passed laws to hire more cops in the Capitol.
Bruh. Well, there's that, and then of course, again,
Yeah.
like
That's like all they care
democracy,
about.
anti-democratic. Again, like this shit with the rail workers is all you need to know about what these people think about democracy. Like those
Yeah.
people, they have
Voted.
the right to collectively bargain. They voted not to take that damn contract, go on strike, and guess what? The few bosses, the stakeholders, got their friends on the phone in the government said, "Fuck that." Okay, that's about as anti-democratic as it gets.
Yeah.
But nobody in the Democratic Party is going to be like, "But
Yeah.
democracy is in danger." When Joe
Yeah.
Biden signs the fucking paper that crushes these folks, man. So it's like, once I seen Kamala Harris, I don't know. Have you watched that HBO doc about January 6th?
No.
No,
Are
you
we supposed
should.
to watch it? Should
No,
we
you
do a
should. You
live?
should.
Should
You
we do a
should
live
because
viewing?
I didn't want to watch it because I thought it was gonna be some like self-serious, blah 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 type of thing. It's not. It's the opposite. It kind of showed everybody like it's pretty cool. These guys, these people are kooks. Like the government was never gonna go down. In fact, one of the most prescient clips, not prescient, but I think smartest clips in the video is when Kamala Harris was like, Pearl Harbor, September 11th, January 6th. It was just like for her, like it's just absurd. It's just absurd what the liberals did with this incident, right? And we kind of knew where it was gonna go the whole time. And oftentimes we get upset when people be like both sides, but like sometimes that is a both. There are both sides moments. When
Yeah,
Kamala
yeah.
Harris is calling this akin to 9/11, when
That's insane.
3,000 people died,
Yeah, that's insane.
we got the Patriot Act. I got to take my damn shoes off at the airport and all this other
Yeah,
shit out of
yeah,
9/11.
yeah,
Two fucking crazy wars that cost trillions of dollars. And for her to put January 6th in the same, like Bin Laden must be spinning in his grave. God damn it.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
what?
It's
Like
like
you
him and the
putting
Q. He's like they're comparing me to the QAnon shaman.
like these jabronis? Are you fucking
Yeah,
kidding me? Anyway,
yeah,
but yeah, the Brazil thing is interesting to watch because, like I said, I think the most nervous people on the left see some of the right wing stuff that happens abroad and how ascendant they seem to be. I understand, and something like that Bolsonaro bullshit can feed into that, but at the same time, again, there were people at this damn quote unquote coup or whatever the fuck it was supposed to be cosplaying the QAnon shaman. I think
Yeah,
that's all we
yeah,
need to do with that. And the
yeah.
last thing, man, before we get you up out of here, Nando.
But the Ronaldo thing, yeah,
Yeah, Ronaldo, man. When the news first trickled out, I thought it was like I was like, "There's no way this guy's gonna go play in Saudi Arabia, right?" Like, um, I understand he was really frustrated with his return to Man U. The Juventus thing started off pretty nice, and then it kind of
yeah,
just went where it went. But I was like, he's not gonna go play in Saudi Arabia.
yeah,
Is he? And because again, like you talked about it, Nando, like Saudi Arabia doesn't really have a soccer history or culture to speak of. This isn't like obviously they're not like a serious player on the world stage in soccer. And then secondly, it's like I understand that they offered him a shit ton of money, but has this guy not made a lot of money already in his career?
yes. He's made a lot of money. They offered him a shit ton of money, like I think it was $200 million.
I
You
heard
know,
300 million over 2 years, or I don't know, but it's a
whatever it is, yeah, it's in the
astronomical amount of
hundreds of
money
millions
of
for
millions
two
of dollars.
years.
Yeah,
So the important thing, so here's the story with Ronaldo. There's two things that matter to him. Obviously, he's very competitive. Obviously, the money's important. Like he wants to make a lot of money, but he's also extremely competitive. And to me, if he wasn't gonna find a team in Europe that was gonna be challenging for titles in that meaningful titles, it was unlikely to me that he wasn't going to take a deal that was on the table from the Saudis. Because the other thing that's important for him, because he's so competitive, he wants to stay ahead of Messi in
in the
terms of
goals
career,
scored.
yeah, in career goals. So he will play until he's in a fucking wheelchair in an official league, in an official FIFA sanctioned league, you know. Just because right now he's about 33 goals ahead of Messi or something like that.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
he's gonna score a
and
lot of goals in
he's gonna
Mecca,
count him. Yeah, he's gonna fucking count him.
and he's gonna
Uh,
count him.
he's gonna fucking count him. And FIFA's gonna count them like they're official goals,
Oh my
um
god, bruh.
so that's the other thing that's kind of at play here. So yeah. So I mean, but it's again, it's kind of sad and to see like how he's ended up. I mean, my
Is
line
this
on
worse? Is
Ronaldo,
this worse? Is this worse than Pele and the New York Cosmos?
so much worse because like
Yeah, I know. Pele was bringing the beautiful game to America and New York
yeah,
City and like
yeah, come
glitz
on,
and glam.
yeah,
Ronaldo is getting a special dispensation so that he could live with his fucking girlfriend.
yeah, yeah.
It's insane.
It's insane.
And
I
and
mean,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
no, my line on Ronaldo is that he's a fucking weirdo. He's psychotically competitive. Like he has no self awareness. You know what I mean? Like it's part of the reason that it made him great in the first place. Like that his like insane self confidence. Ability to overcome adversity because of again his just like hyper belief in himself. But that kind of drive, which is greater than Messi's, by the way, like the drive that Ronaldo has. I mean, Messi's just more talented and better
Hmm.
than Ronaldo, but Ronaldo has like that extra bit of drive, like the psychotic kind of he. It's what's not letting him adjust to his new reality
His
that
new
he's
reality,
just
yeah.
that he's
Hmm.
just older and he can't do the things physically he used to. He hasn't adjusted his game, appropriately, and more importantly, he hasn't adjusted his outlook on himself or like the role he should play on a team.
So he
You
he
know?
thinks he's still the guy who
Yes.
was dominating El
Yes.
Clasicos, killing
Yes.
people in the champion. He thinks he's still that person?
Yes.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow. Wow. Dominating at Man U the first time. Like he really thinks he's the same Ronaldo.
That's his outlook. He has a totally delusional sense of self. you
Mm.
know. And yeah, I mean, I think that that's why he did that stupid interview. You know, like he thought that was gonna work out great for him. You know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah,
bruh,
where he
like
called Saudi Arabia South America or South
no,
Africa, excuse me.
no. I'm talking about the one that he did while he was still a Man U player that basically got Man U to terminate his contract.
Oh, got you.
Um, he went on Piers Morgan, and you know, while he was still a Man U player, still like under contract, and he was just like talking shit about the coach, saying he should play more, you know, like all this shit, like just kind of totally delusional,
Mm.
like. And he probably thought that that was going to work out great for him because he just thinks like, you know, he's the
I'm
fucking
Ronaldo.
best. Yeah,
It's always
they're
worked
gonna
out
love it.
incredibly well for
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
And
they're
that
gonna love it.
just was not the case. And I think a lot of people don't know this, but this dude grew up incredibly poor in
Oh yeah.
Portugal. He's from the slums, dude. Like I know he doesn't look it, and he feels like one of the most glamorous people in the
Well,
history
not
of
just
life.
that, but it's not just that. He grew up in the islands. Like Portugal has like it's Portugal, and then there's like these islands near Africa that that are part of Portugal, and he grew up there. And there's a huge kind of um, stigma to being from there. It's like you're kind of from like the
Mm,
backwater. You know what I mean? So
right.
like when he first showed
Uh-huh.
up on the mainland, you know, as like a talented youngster, you know, like the kind of mainland guys were like, look at this fucking country yokel, you know, who talks
Mm-hmm.
weird and has a weird accent and he's from
Mm-hmm.
the fucking islands. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like there's discrimination internally in Portugal and it
Of course.
really affected him, you know, like it really kind of
Mm-hmm.
like
That's
um
like Clarence Thomas when he got to college and he met all these Jack and Jill fancy blacks, these like third generation college graduate blacks who basically treated him like he was a country bumpkin. And so he
yeah,
became the biggest right winger hater of
yeah,
all of those black
yeah,
libs that ever existed.
yeah,
It's the same thing. The same sort of idea. And so yeah, man, that kind of upbringing and overcoming all of that kind of shit will give you a certain disposition and sensibility. And I understand that with
but
Ronaldo.
yeah,
But yeah, this shit
the
just seems
fucking
crazy.
Saudis, man, are pouring so much goddamn
And
money
that's what I was
into
gonna
this shit.
ask you last. To get, like, what's the end game here, Spence?
So, so, because you know Messi also has a deal with the Saudis. Like he's not playing there, but they're paying him. You know, what their one of their big goals is to get the World Cup the way
Mm,
Qatar did, and so they're paying off like Messi, Ronaldo. Like they're like part of Ronaldo's playing contract is that he will be remain as an ambassador for the Saudi World Cup. Uh, um,
if it
for the next like
happens,
6 or 7 yeah or no like to get it to happen, you know,
okay.
to show up to like events with, you know, like
Mm.
yeah
Oh, that's part
because
of his deal because
yeah
yeah, you
yeah
gotta bribe these FIFA guys, and even the FIFA guys are
mm-hmm.
star fuckers.
Oh
So
yeah
having Ronaldo aligned with it is gonna help
yeah
immensely.
yeah because like the guy who runs the, you know, Papua New Guinea Soccer Federation has a vote, just as the guy who runs the
Right,
France Federation has a vote.
right,
You know, so
right,
like yeah, and going, you know, inviting, going to Dubai,
right.
when a penthouse party with Cristiano Ronaldo for the guy who runs the Papua New Guinea fucking
It's a big fucking
federation.
deal. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a big
yeah,
deal.
it's meaningful. You know, so
Hmm.
that's what they're paying him to do. And Messi too. They both have deals with Saudi Arabia, and they're just and they bought Newcastle. You know, for God knows how much fucking goddamn money, you know, and they're pouring tons of money into Newcastle, and the Newcastle's going to be good, and they care about sports as a way to, I mean, for lack of a better term, launder their image. I mean, we talked about the
Got
Live
you.
Golf thing, we talked about the WWE thing in Saudi
Hmm.
Arabia. Like they see sports, you know, rightfully so, that people just fucking don't care about. Like when sports is involved, like you put your fears aside. Like we still watch football, even though like half these guys are gonna like,
All
you know,
I'll
have
say
brain
to
damage.
all I'll say to these cats, man, taking 200 mil or whatever from the Saudis is not the same as signing a $200 million deal with Jerry Jones. It's just not the same thing. And I would hope that they really understand that and the people around them make them understand that, like, yo, boy, you better honor this contract to the fucking letter. These people do not play around with
Yeah,
anybody, so that's all I'll say for that. But yeah, man, that's our show for today. We'll see you guys next week. Become a Patreon at patreon.com/count the dings. Appreciate you guys. You can do that for a cup of Starbucks per month. We'll see you guys next time. Peace, Nando. Be safe on them streets, boy.